I don't think of the universe as a genie, just because I know that this environment and this reality has been designed and set up the way it has for very specific reasons. Just because I showed up and I believe that everything can be created exactly that same way doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to get that, because I still have to operate within the confines of the reality. In other words, if you really want something and it goes against the reality of what you are supposed to be going through in this lifetime, it's not going to happen. No matter how hard you try, it's just not going to show up. And that's where some people get a little bit perturbed, because they buy into this idea that, well, if I want something, it'll be like magically created for me. No, it won't. It doesn't work that way. So whenever she talks about like the first step is to ask, make a command of the universe, let the universe know what you want, the universe responds to your thoughts. So there's two ways to go about this. When you ask, which means when you release an intention or a desire, you can release the desire in two ways. You can actually ask, and this is a really good thing that I get the experience of on a regular basis, where I'm having conversations with God in my mind and I'm asking about certain things like, why is this way, God? Like, why does this happen? And I ask about specific situations or specific instances or things that occur. Not so much like, tell me why did this happen to me? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like, just like, for example, like, why does this occur whenever someone does this and this, that? Like, I have these conversations with God in my mind. And whenever I ask that, I just like wonder. And it's more of a wondering, like, I wonder about this, or I wonder why this is the way this is. So whenever I ask in that way, and it's very innocent, it's very like, there's no pressure, or there's not a lot of like conflictive energy within me when I'm asking. I'm just simply curious and I wonder. When you're curious and you wonder something consistently, or just a few times, it starts to produce a charge, and that information, that energy is going to come to you. And so usually whenever I do that, the answer will come to me within a relatively short period of time. It's either going to show up as an event that I experience, as a person who teaches me, or as a situation that exemplifies exactly what I'm wondering. So that's the asking, that's that innocent asking, kind of, curiosity kind of asking. That I know is a thing, because it happens all the time. The other thing though is when it's something that you care a lot more about, or you really care about, you have to have a solid intention and follow through. In other words, if I am intending to be financially free, or to have financial freedom in my life, if I just sit on my ass and wait for money to fall out of the sky, it's not going to happen. Some people have lucked out and they've like won the lottery, but then shortly thereafter they end up broke, or they end up in arrears, and they basically have to file for bankruptcy, which is a regular occurrence with people who win the lottery because they're not prepared for it. And so what ends up happening is, if you are, let's say, desiring to be financially free or having financial freedom, but you do nothing to follow through with that, you're just having that wish and desire and hoping that positivity is going to make it happen, is not going to happen. You're basically just burning. You're sitting in a car and you put no gas into it, and you didn't fill the tires up with air, and you're just sitting in the car and you're just expecting that the car's going to show up where you want it to show up, or be where you want to be. No, like, you need to get your ass out, you need to put some air in the tires, you need to put gasoline in it, and then you can get behind it and then follow the signs, or follow the flow of energy. So you get on the highway, you got the signs, that's your flow of energy. And so putting tire into it means getting engaged enough with it that you care enough to do something about it. So that's just putting the tires in. Putting the fuel or the gasoline is really trying to understand what is within your power, within your control to change. So if you want something to happen and you won't be financially free, then what can you potentially do, or what can you possibly do that is within your control? Well, I can learn to budget. I can start to save. I can start to look into investments. I can start to invest in small amounts. I can start to plan for the future. I can start reading about more financial stability and balance and budgeting, etc. So that's what's within your power. And if you start taking steps in that direction, you will start to realize that things get easier and you feel better. And as you continue, now you might have a few slapbacks, because if you're one of those people where you believe anytime I have a little extra money, all of a sudden something happens and I lose it all, or I have to pay for all this, then even if you try saving money or try working on that, expect a few slapbacks. But you have to persist past the slap back. Because if you give into the slap back, you've accepted the old model of being, you've accepted the reality that you're used to as the reality, and you're not going around it or going past it. You just accepted that and you slap back into what's normal for you. So if you start working on your finances, start saving, start, looking at how to reduce your expenses, be more careful and cautious and save and all of that other stuff, and follow through, then you will start to experience a lightening up of your energy. And then if you have a slap back, okay, well, this is what happened. Let me keep trying. Let me keep going. Let me keep going. But if you persist, then you'll punch through the slap back or that boundary that is so attached to your old way of being. It usually takes 30 to 90 days to break through a old model of energy. So your state of being, the stuff that you constantly deal with in your life, you have to persist through a 30 to 90 day period before there's enough energy to support the new state of being. Again, this is with things that you care more about. And then once you start to do that, things start to align much more easily, and you start having opportunities that are going to make it easier for you to reach your goal. And then you might actually have extra money show up out of nowhere, and then start having these mini miracles start to show up where you can take advantage and then continue to move in the direction of your desire. So those are two ways of lining up and manifesting, but that's where your part comes in, what you have to do to get there.